Guys, today we're outside because we are going to be hoarding corn. So you guys are going to watch us shuck corn for a long time, but we'll do a time lapse and speed it up a lot. So when we're done here, we'll talk about what we're going to do later. So my kitchen is a ginormous mess because my husband decided it would be a great idea to paint the kitchen and put up 140 ears of corn this weekend. So I'm going to have to just apologize for the state of everything in the background. But right now I'm going to be washing the corn. I'm going to be scrubbing it with a vegetable brush to try and get some more of the silks off. This is not part of the recipe. She just tries to get as many silks off as she can and then leaves them. These were particularly silky and hard to get everything off. Plus my kids helped and they're not great at it. So I'm going to be scrubbing 140-ish ears of corn now. So then we'll come back for the next step. So this is our setup for basically parboiling the corn. We take the corn, drop it in salted boiling water. When it comes up to a boil, we let it go for 3 minutes, and then we drop it into our ice bath here. And then we have this setup, which is, I don't know what this tool is called. It's a we bought it at like a country store somewhere a long time ago. We've only used it like once before, but my husband's family had one, so he knew how to use it. And actually in the book, there's a picture and they were using something similar. You can use just a knife. Cutting corn off the cob is always horrible, but this is basically a tool specifically for that. So I'm gonna be boiling. My husband's gonna be using this because he thinks I'm gonna hurt myself with it. And then we've got some Ziploc bags, quart bags, ready to put some in and get them ready to go into the freezer. So that's about it. I'm going to set you guys up and do a time lapse of all of this. So enjoy. I thought I'd show you guys what it looks like when my husband uses this contraption. I'm going to look up what it's actually called eventually. So, go ahead. And that gets all the kernels and the milk from the corn out and does a really good job.
There's a blade here.
And yeah, there's a blade there.
Adjustable. A blade here is adjustable.
2 adjustable blades and then some like teeth in between. So that I think helps get more of the juice out. So anyway, that's it. I I didn't really make an intro for this recipe yesterday because it's not really a recipe, but so you're going to get an intro / outro. I'm going to tell you all about it, and then you're going to be able to watch us make it. So today we are hoarding corn. So Vivian Howard in Deep Run Roots calls this hoarded corn, and basically it's what my husband's family would call putting up corn. It's to save fresh corn to eat later, put it in the freezer, and then you can have corn throughout the winter and fall when there's no fresh corn available. I was reading another book recently, and this chef said that all frozen corn is crap. Not good at all. Doesn't taste like corn, tastes like freezer. I've been eating corn done this way since I've known my husband, and it tastes a lot like fresh corn cut off the cob when it was in the middle of summer. So I agree. Pretty much all the corn you can buy in the store, in the grocery store, in the freezer section, not really worth it. But this is really worth it. That said, Vivian Howard suggests you make no less than 200 ears of corn. All of these Southern women that we discussed this with said that was kind of crazy. The farmer's wife down the road said she does no more than 100 ears. But we found bags of corn, and the bag was each 70 ears of corn in a bag. And my husband bought 2 bags, so it was supposed to be about 140 ears. In the end, it was 160 ears. We had white corn. White corn is sweeter than yellow corn, but a little bit more one note. Yellow corn tends to be cornier, so to speak. It has a little bit more of that flavor and less sweet, but more corn flavor. White corn is sweeter. But all they had at the farmer's market that day was white corn. So we did white corn in a variety actually called triple sweet. But as far as this recipe, this isn't really to make to eat right now, although you can. It's to make a bunch to freeze for later. And I have to say, it was a process. Many hands make light work in this sort of job. And in fact, whereas we thought the shucking would be the really hard part, it didn't seem to take all that long. We had our kids help us, the whole family sat around a wheelbarrow and shucked corn and put all the bits in the wheelbarrow. And anyway, you'll be able to see we live sort of in the country, so that was pretty easy. It was easier than we expected. But the hard part is boiling the corn, waiting for the water to come back up to a boil, boiling it for a certain amount of time, putting it in the ice bath, and then cutting it off the cob. We very luckily have, there's a tool on this page, which you'll see in the video, that they use to cut the corn off of the cob. We actually already, I've told you before, I have a ton of gadgets. We already had this. So we already had that, and that was very helpful. So with the 2 of us, my husband and I didn't let the kids help us with the stove, and probably wouldn't have been a good idea. They're 5 and 8, so they're not really stove users yet. My daughter has very little, my 8-year-old has very little interest in actually using the stove. But anyway, with my husband and I, so I did the boiling, putting it in the ice bath, refreshing the ice, refreshing the boiling water, all of that. And my husband did the cutting it off the cob with this tool because he thought I might hurt myself. Although we were thinking he might hurt himself too. So, but I think he wanted to take one for the team. Anyway, all of that took a really long time. but I think all told, with the shucking and the scrubbing to get the silks off, which is not in this recipe, but I had to do because the silks were hard to get off. But with the shucking and the scrubbing and the boiling, we started just before noon and we finished at about 5 o'clock. Now we did take a few breaks in between steps, but it was a time commitment. She says 200 ears will yield about 20 quarts. We had 160 ears and we got 15 quarts, plus we froze 10 ears whole on the cob, and each 10 ears was about a quart, I think. So that's pretty much right on the money. You fill a quart bag about halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway, and then flatten it so it'll freeze nicely and thaw nicely. So it's not a full quart of corn, but anyway, it was a process. It was certainly doable. I think it was a lot easier with the tool that we used versus a knife, although you obviously can always use a knife. They do sell this tool on Amazon. I think it's about 10 bucks, maybe 15. So worth it if you're putting up a ton of corn. So yeah, I think we will reap the rewards of this throughout the winter. But yesterday, when we actually did this, we were just tired. So I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, don't forget to click the thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching.